Hello, Matt. How are you?
Great. How are you, Sergio?
Good. Hey, just wanted to introduce you to a vintage that was kind of memorable, the 2017 harvest.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
So here we have, you know, we made a number of wines, but one of them was Tempranillo. And right from the Salt Lake Vineyards, across the road from here, we're in Driftwood, Texas. And let's see how it tastes.
That is a beautiful color.
Oh yeah, no issues with the color here.
Deep garnet.
Yeah. And you know what? Going over things in my computer, I have a treat for you. We can actually go back in time to that 2017 harvest time and see what it was looking like in the vineyard.
Are you kidding?
Oh no.
How do we do that?
Well, we're gonna travel in time. So it's 3 years ago, and let's see how I was finding the grapes doing back then.
All right, let's go.
So here I am at the Pump House Tempranillo block here in the Salt Lake Vineyards. It's July 12th of 2017, and I'm walking and tasting and collecting grapes for further analysis. This year, it's the best year that I've seen these grapes, these vines and grapes developing here since I've been here. They're nice, round, dark, turgid, very tasty so far, and still a little tannic, but that's normal. We're going to be harvesting in like a week, which is way earlier than any other previous year. But so far it looks great.
During harvest, when you're walking the fields and tasting the fruit, what are the indicators to let you know that it's ready to be picked?
Well, that's a good question, and let's hear about myself telling you about it 3 years ago. Here we go. So, do we decide harvesting on bricks alone? No. That's why I taste grapes on a daily basis here from now on. We're very close to the harvest, and I need to stop by here virtually daily. And so the taste of the berries are going to vary from being like watermelon, kind of green, especially an unripe watermelon, and then they taste like plums. That's the aftertaste that you have when tasting at the next stage. Then after a few days, they're going to taste finally like figs. Those dark, ripe figs are the ones, you know. The taste of those is what remains in your mouth when you're tasting these grapes. So currently, this Tempranillo in July 12, 2017, they're tasting like plums. So they're close, but still a way to go. We'll see what happens next in the next couple of days. See, there's a flavor trend that grapes follow during ripening, and we need to keep track of.
Okay, well, how fast does that go toward the end of the ripening period?
Good point. It's very fast, faster than other regions. That's why, actually, let's go to the video and I'll tell you more about later. Okay, it's July 12th, 2017, and I'm in the J block of Tempranillo. I'm sampling and tasting grapes, and I just did the Pump House Tempranillo, and this one seems to be a little ahead of it. Taste is changing from plums like into figs, something way more ripe. So it looks great. We're gonna be harvesting next week, like within a week, which is way earlier than any other previous year that I've been here. So far it looks great. Berries are dark, very turgid, tasty, flavorful. They only need a little extra time to ripe, and it's going to be a great harvest.
So Sergio, why was the harvest so much earlier in 2017?
Yeah, I remember that year we didn't even have a winter, proper winter. Everything started earlier. And so 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time made all the difference. So it wasn't hotter than usual necessarily summertime, but everything had an advantage of 2 or 3 weeks. That's why we ended up harvesting Tempranillo like in the last week of July that year. So it's clear that over the last couple of days, tannic grapes became softer grapes. So this is how they evolve during the ripening season. This is close to harvest. We're going to harvest it next week in about 4 or 5 days. We'll see how they evolve, but it's looking great.
Obviously, you were tasting the grapes on a daily basis, looking for markers of flavor.
That's right.
To know when they were ready to be harvested. But you also said that you were taking samples back to analyze. What were the things that you were looking for to determine the maturity of the grape was ready?
Yeah, we keep an eye on the flavor, and that's the index we use to harvest. That triggers the harvest decision. Also, we keep an eye on certain data from the lab, and this is basically sugars or bricks and the 2 acidities, so total or titratable acidity and pH. So we need to keep an eye on those, how they evolve. Sugars are going up and acidities are going down, but at the same time those flavor grapes they change, and that's the indicator. So we can harvest at a certain sugar level one year and at a completely different sugar level another year. It all depends on the flavor of the grapes.
Oh, got it. Okay. In 2017, you thought that this was going to be an excellent vintage. What were the indicators of it? And then why don't we taste the wine and find out if it's right?
Yeah. So, so the vineyard as a whole looked happy and in very good shape. As you see in the videos, they were growing very uniformly. No growing shoot tips, and the amount of or the crop was the correct one, and they were actually tasting really tasteful. They were nice tasting grapes back then with a thick skin. They had the right exposure to the sun or to the elements. So yeah, it all seemed to kind of match. It's when the stars align, Yeah. It was many different angles of it in line to get a good harvest. But don't believe me.
Let's see.
Let's see the wine.
Cheers.
So this is cheers. So this is one of the examples of that harvest. So the 2017 Tempranillo Salt Lake Vineyards. It's one of our Tempranillos, and it's tasting. Oh my goodness! You see the flow of aromatics coming from the glass. I can smell it from here. Yeah, it's smoked tobacco. It's all there, concentrated.
Brambly red fruit, dark fruit, plum. Oh, it's beautiful. Black cherry, vibrant acidity.
Yeah. See, so what you saw in the vineyards, it's what we're tasting right now. Only 3 years later, right? But that was not the only wine we made. Another wine of our portfolio is our ExTERRA wines, and this is the 2017 version of it. So in order to make this, we select, remember I was in a couple of blocks there.
In the J block and
J block, the pump house, there's another block there that, and so we select the best grapes for those. And then during the aging of the wine, we can also select the best barrels.
Got it. So that's how you designate the Tempranillo from the ExTERRA Tempranillo.
Exactly. So, so this is, well, the very best we can do. While this is more production, close to 800 cases, this is only a little over 200 cases. Yeah, so to introduce ExTERRA, we need to go back a year earlier, 2016. As we saw in the vineyard, 2016 was very similar, except no fruit.
Okay.
Or literally very, very little fruit, but an outstanding quality. So grapes were looking very nicely, but they were hard to find. And so that inspired us to make a new line of wines, because Tempranillo wasn't the only one affected by low crop. We also made a Terroir and a Mourvedre under this same image. And so now the good thing is that with almost 3 times the crop in 2017, we could, do a follow-up of the ExTERRA Tempranillo. And this is what we're tasting right now. So, see, it's a little, just by looking at it, it looks more concentrated, more,
yeah, a little more opaque.
Uh-huh. And, my goodness.
That is aromatic.
See, this is when concentration, complexity, so you get a lot of things at the same time, but also without losing finesse.
Right.
So that when those 3 things are combined, it's really a good harvest, a good vintage, a good wine. Usually you lack 1 or 2 or 3, in wines, but when there are 3, aligned, it's when it works. And to add another ingredient to it, the sense of place. So we're talking about a Texas Hill Country wine, and not only that, this is coming from the Driftwood Salt Lake Vineyards, right across, not very far from where we are right now. And those vineyards, as we saw in the video, those vineyards are so happy where they are planted.
What makes it a good place to plant grapes?
Exactly. So it seems like the amount of fertility in the soil, the amount of rocks, sand, the drainage conditions, which is key to explain quality, gives us the chance to manage the vineyards in this way. By the time of harvest, you saw in the vineyard, they were quietly ripening and not growing anymore. They were just concentrating on the clusters. The ripening was a steady, I wouldn't say slow, because it took only a few days to accomplish, but it steadily going normal, and so everything was well aligned to give us this sort of quality. And it's not an accident. It's giving us these kind of qualities throughout the years. So after being planted already 13, 14 years, these vineyards are really getting a mature crop on a constant basis.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, let's taste it.
Yeah. See what I mean?
It definitely has finesse, has elegance to it, but it is concentrated and powerful.
And round, full feels. It's. After seconds and maybe minutes after having it, still lingering in my mouth with its smoke. It's a terrific wine. Not only not because I made it, but no, those grapes are awesome. This was the plan to make like a tribute to what the 2017 harvest was, and what it resulted in. These wonderful 2 examples of one of the best grapes in the Texas Hill Country, or Texas, or the U.S.
Or the U.S., that's right. So looking back at the 2017 harvest, just walked the vineyards, just tasted the fruit as you were picking it. Does this fulfill the prophecy that you had of an excellent harvest?
I think so.
Great.
Definitely. Especially the ExTERRA Tempranillo. That you can come see us at our 2 locations in Driftwood, Texas, right south of Austin, only 25 minutes from downtown, or our winery in Taos, Texas, which is an hour and 15 minutes northwest from Austin, still in the Texas Hill Country. You can have both of these wines and along with the rest of our portfolio. So glad you joined, glad you watched this part, and I hope having to see you there in any of our locations.
Cheers.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you.